Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Nip and a Half by Fantasy Football Hub. Paul and I are here this, was it Monday evening, 6 o'clock? Forest and Wolves to go this evening. How was your fantasy weekend, Paul?
Yeah, it was all right, mate. It's pretty decent. But I think there was games midweek last week after we had recorded, so I guess it's more a combination of some good things to come out of there, and then a particularly good start to the week in TFF for me. The other two this week have been maybe average or slightly above average. I think it's probably a fair description. What about yourself?
Well, a similar tale. I thought I'd had an excellent weekend. Everywhere I looked, there was points, goals, some sort of expected, some not so expected, but I logged on to Ultimate Leaderboard this morning expecting to see a healthy rise, and I've actually gone down. And but I think I know why. Is I still haven't got Isak, Gordon, or Watkins in TFF, and I think did they score midweek or on that Monday evening or wherever we spoke. I can't think. And then they scored again on Saturday, but I held on to Haaland and Mbeumo. If we remember, you had that big discussion, and so far I think it's worked out quite well. That held on to him, 4 goals and an assist between them. And I had some other points in Telegraph, nothing big. Well, actually, I say that nothing much at all. Actually, Palmer and Salah really. I know you had Kirkes. Did he get an assist? So it's 10 points. So I actually rose in rank overall to my highest rank of the season, which is 9,500, which is nothing to shout about, I know, but I hadn't made any transfers. So I always think when you make a rank rise at any point from this part of the season onwards and you haven't used any transfers, that's really good. I see it anyway. So I'm up to 9.5 from like 11.5. I thought, and I'm still 40th overall in the Ultimate Leaderboard, which is obviously dragging my average right up. So
there's going to be one of these weeks coming up where I think that you won't shuffle a couple of places up. It's not going to be. I think it's not going to be one of those gradual ones for you. I think it's going to be you're going to be moving up 4 or 5 places at a time when you do some like 2 or 3 transfers in a weekend, which you're going to do in TFF at some point.
I think I am next week. So yeah. I've got 3 Fulham players, and part of the reason why I brought in Iwobi, who's been a bit of a disaster. I say a disaster. He had a 5 for 3, right? You can't really argue over a non-playing player. So I could have picked a better pick, but Iwobi's gone 2-2-3-2, right? But I've got 3 Fulham players who play first, obviously in the FA Cup. So that'll be nice. So I'm hoping 1, 2, maybe even 3 of them play. I have no idea if they do or not. It's home game against Watford. And then after that, I'll be getting in Isak. I'll probably be getting in Lewis Hall. A lot of it depends on FA Cup lineups, who starts against Bromley for Newcastle and things like that. But I'm considering 3 or 4 changes, I think. I also get Haaland against Salford, or potentially Haaland against Salford again before I could move him onto Isak and all this sort of thing. So I'm hoping that my little bump is going to come this weekend or prior to this weekend even. And then I can make some transfers and then really start to, fly up then. So that's been my plan for the last few weeks, and we'll see. But stayed. So still got 28. I've only used 1 transfer since the last international break, I think, which was getting in Salah, or maybe 2 actually. No, I got a Wolby as well. Sorry. But yeah, that's it really with TFF. You've had a good. I've seen you've stormed into like a 60-odd point lead ahead of me on TFF, and it was only 30-odd last week, the week before. So I'm sure Isak. I know you mentioned Watkins last week, didn't you?
Yeah, I've not got Isak.
You've not got Isak. Okay.
My forward line's in Mbeumo, Salah, and Watkins.
Oh, of course. So you did Haaland to Watkins.
I'll get Watkins on Friday night as well,
home in the FA Cup,
and then I'm very open to making a multitude of moves based on who starts this weekend, and using 2 or 3 transfers myself at the weekend, knowing that I've got the budget enablers that I like in my team that I'm not going to move, and that those places are locked, so I can move around other positions. I had a really good week so far, and it's 64 points.
Nice.
I've got Foden in midfield as well, so he got 8 points. You'd mentioned Kerkez there, 10 points. I've got Sells and Gomez to play tonight as well.
Nice.
So I think that I've not got massive expectations, but again, hoping that I can climb some places. So I'm up to 1700th overall, but on the ultimate leaderboard, I'm 8th in TFF. So pretty happy with how
You've
things are
flown up
going
that,
there.
haven't you? Because you weren't that high before, were you?
Nah, that's broadly why I'm in the position on the ultimate leaderboard that I am. I think because of that. We could talk a little bit more about that towards the end when we go through the top
I
10 and such like.
I suppose though it's coming home to roost about just talking about the ultimate leaderboard just for a second about how the change from the points to the average mid-league position, how impactful it is. So I'm 22nd in the ultimate leaderboard and I'm 6th overall on points, which just goes to show that it was probably the right decision to go to the average mid-league position, because it should be over the your overall performance over the 3 games, right? So yeah, it's really
Well, that's it.
interesting.
It was getting that weighting right for the TFF game because without the captaincy, without the bonus points
Yeah,
outside of the tackles and midfielders.
yeah. I'm going to give it a bit of thought this week. Um, I'm on a 4-3-3, so my team, just for transparency, we've got Leno, who he's done okay. Munoz, Gabriel, Murillo, Robinson, Gomez, Palmer, Iwobi, Haaland, and Mbeumo and Salah. I think I might take Haaland out because they run after. So I think I definitely get the Salford game. I might get the Brentford game, depending on if Isak starts or not in the FA Cup. And then they got Ipswich away, but then they run after that is horrific. I don't know if you've seen their run, Man City's run. It's just one
Yeah.
after the other. It's incredible. They've got they got Brentford away, which I might have in 4 days. Then they've got Chelsea, Arsenal, Newcastle, Liverpool, Tottenham, Forest, and Brighton. That's how their league run goes all the way up to game week 29, which is pretty crazy, really.
When you look at Mbuemo's so you're aiming to get the strike force of Mbuemo, Salah, and Isak, I imagine, because Mbuemo's just annihilated what are the difficult fixtures for him because he's got Plymouth, Man City, which I don't know. I don't know from an offensive
I think
position
they're
that
all right,
that's
mate. I
that's
think they're all right to attack, aren't they?
and Liverpool, which is obviously a difficult one. Then they've got Palace, Forest, Spurs, West Ham, Leicester, Everton, Villa at home, Bournemouth, Newcastle. Maybe it runs into a bit more difficult again there, but for 3.9 million, I'm thinking similar for Strike Force. Albeit if Solanke starts this weekend against Tamworth, I may consider moving on to him to then move
Yeah,
back off again
yeah.
for one.
This is why it's incredibly difficult to give specific advice, isn't it? Because our edge, well, engaged managers' edge now, especially in TFF, is we plan our lives around the Telegraph deadlines,
Yeah.
whereas the casuals don't, and that's it really. So
I'm gonna
yeah,
have to pick 3 Telegraph players for the article for the hub this week as well.
yeah,
So it's
that's
good.
going to be hard with the
I always caveat it at the start.
yeah. So it's gonna be a really really interesting weekend, and it could be a potentially very swingy weekend as well. Like the way certain people are coming into it and the way they may end up coming out of it as well could be huge. The only other thing for me to look out for in Telegraph is Liverpool when they double lands, because it could be like a 3 or 4 for 1. And this is the thing. This is the beauty of holding back the transfers, is you could end up with a run of like Ipswich at home, Bournemouth, Everton, Wolves. Even Man City away isn't scary. Home to Newcastle, home to Southampton. So this is where you could potentially look at maybe, I don't know, a defender maybe like Virgil or something. But you mentioned McAllister last week, potentially for someone like Gakpo, or someone like that, just to come in and do a job on a 4 for 1, which a real differential like that could see you fly up. So this is where for those sort of I know that I think we generally have quite a few frustrated Telegraph managers in terms of being able to give specific advice, but up until this point, it's incredibly difficult because there's no real gains, is there? The skill and the discipline, in my eyes, in Telegraph to now has been having the discipline not to make the transfers, and now put yourself into a position where you can bang in 4 Liverpool players for a 4-for-1. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting few weeks. Just to say hello to everyone in the chat quickly. Windy in first as usual. AP UK Cloudy's in. Ian, happy New Year, gents. Based on last year's experience and this season's draw, which decent Dream Team players do you think will play on the FA Cup third round this weekend? I'll have a chat about Dream Team next. Viney's in. C Tobes, FPL Lion, good evening. Dave Hannigan says, evening all. In a Dixon of Doc Green voice, ask your grandparents. Do you know Dixon of Doc Green? Dixon of Doc Green. I think I used to have a biscuit tin with Doc Green stuff on. I'm not sure. Jake Durham says Ahmed or Diallo this week. We're missing there, as we called him different things. Ahmed or Diallo. Viney says 3 out of 4 average transfers since Christmas in Telegraph. 136 to 25 left. Very well played. Optimistic top 50 finish. Yep, I would be too, Viney. And Dave Hanning says, win Meister. If you know, you know. Yeah, let's have a look at Dream Team then. And yeah, obviously there's the FA Cup this weekend. How was your week on Dream Team so far?
Yeah, not bad. 94 points. So I've had a small green arrow. I brought in Trent and Van Dijk. This is
good moves.
I might move Trent back out again.
Who? Trent.
I might, yeah.
Well, he's definitely going to drop, isn't he, you guess?
Well, yeah, and Conor Bradley's back fit again as well, so you reckon he'll play the Accrington game, right? So then you've only got a single against Forest. If that's the case, you've only got a single against Forest. Maybe I'm open to it. I kept Porro. I was deliberating on not doing it, and I just thought it's got the double. And then if I look after this week's fixtures, Spurs' fixtures are actually pretty decent. Like, I suspect he'll play against Tamworth.
Well, they haven't got anyone else to play, have they?
Because they don't have anyone else. Exactly. And then they've got Europe the week after. Everton and another team that they could keep a clean sheet against, even though it is Spurs. So yeah, 7 points the weekend for Porro. I was pretty happy with. I've kept Foden as well. I'd considered taking Foden out because he only had a single, and I wasn't sure if McAtee would have got a start for him, but I kept him in. 11 points there. Gordon, who I picked up last week, 10 points. Palmer, Kulusevski, Isak, Haaland, and Salah captain. I feel that is a bit template-ish there for those players. So.
Template. We've got the same outfield 10, I think, from what you just said.
You got Van Dijk as well?
Yeah, I brought him in this week.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
I didn't realise you'd done it.
Yeah.
You avoided my advice on McAllister then. 12 pointer. I don't know.
I couldn't get to a midfielder. I was in a 3-4-3. I'm still in a 3-4-3. 12
pointer for McAllister for anyone had listened to my
it's a really good shout
that last week. And I wouldn't be tempted to bring him in this week because I don't think he's guaranteed to play Accrington either. Certainly if he plays the first round of the League Cup semi this week. And then I've got Onana in goals, which, do you know what? Like, I've been trying to get rid of for a considerable amount of time, and I've just had other fires. And now I'm sitting here thinking
he's the best option. I think he is the best option.
I can't think of like
no one, mate.
I think Rea's the best option, but
I'm not sure. I think Arsenal's fixtures are tough for these next. So the next 4 games anyway, right? Newcastle, Man United, Spurs, and Villa. I think they concede in all those. Personally,
yeah.
I don't know.
I'm not. I think I'm definitely going to keep Onana next week because I think he plays. I think Man United play a strong team against Arsenal in the FA Cup.
Yeah, definitely.
So
definitely, yeah.
And they probably play Europe as well. So I think I'll keep Onana now. So 94 points for the week, which I think might be the same as you, right?
Well,
if you've got the same team as me, but you've got Dubravka and goals.
Yeah,
right?
So I was so torn on my transfers this week. It was right to the wire, to be honest, because I had Forster, and I've had Porro. So I was going to get rid of those initially, but I didn't know who to. And I had who else? I had Timber. So I was just so torn because even though with Porro, he looked like he lost his place. That was the first thing. But I also know he's a he's just a beast in this format. He's a kind of player that I've held. I think I've held him nearly all season, and he's always gets me points. Even when he conceded this week, right? He still got 7 points. And then with like an hour to go to deadline, Spurs announced the sign of a new keeper. So I was all set on taking out Porro and Timber for Van Dijk and maybe a Fulham defend like Robinson potentially.
Yeah.
But then they said about Forster, and I was thinking, oh my goodness! And when you get to that last hour and your brain just turns to mush. And in the end, I was just thinking, it kind of all clicked then, because I know I wanted to do Timber to Van Dijk, but I wanted to get rid of Porro and Forster, and that Forster thing then just went from. And also he had the sickness bug Forster as well, didn't he? Did he actually play? No, he didn't play either, did he? They played their other Austin Grant. So I went for Devrabka, which was an incredibly short-term pick. But Newcastle are playing well. He's highly owned, and to be honest, I didn't know who to go for. So I kind of rushed him in. So yeah, other than that, though, we've got the same team. I had a healthy rise in rank, which I was quite surprised at because I thought my team was quite template. But I went from 103rd to 60th. Which I was very surprised at, yeah, with the 94 points, the same as you. So you must have had a really good rise.
I don't think I did. I'm not saying I'm not happy with my move. It was like 600 and something to 500 and something, but it didn't feel like that big.
Well, I nearly halved my rank, and I couldn't believe it. It was really odd. So, but I want Bruno back now. But I'm stuck with seven people I don't want to get rid of.
Yeah, so I'm thinking, I'll tell you my moves, and they might be similar to what you think now. I didn't even realise we had the same outfield 10, so I'm thinking, originally I had planned Foden and Kulusevski out for Mbeumo and Eze, and then the more I thought about it, the more I was like, I'm going to be behind on getting European players.
Absolutely, I wouldn't do that, mate. Flipping heck.
So what I'm thinking of doing, or what I'm bust on just now, is Kulusevski and Trent out for Bruno and Munoz. I think that he could get the double for Palace. They played strong in the League Cup.
Yeah.
He's due a rise. If you look at his heat map, I think he was the second furthest forward Palace player, and that was against Chelsea, not against someone that you'd maybe expect the fullbacks to attack more. So I'm not completely sold on that move yet, and I may consider something else. But I do want Bruno back.
He's an animal. He's the same.
And I think just having him in place then for the following weeks, that it means I'm Gian Batra, who writes for the Hub's one of my favourite content creators, and he finishes his threads with "do something that your future self would be proud of." And if going into the following week, I then don't have a multitude of players I'm already thinking of transferring out, and therefore I've got the flexibility to play aggressively from that position, I think bringing in Bruno now gives me that flexibility. And even Foden, who I've been contemplating chopping as well, I was like, City's going to be doubling for every week thereafter, and he might. And
Foden, he's another, right? So I think especially the last 2 seasons, and even when in the old Sun format, we know who the beasts are. There was a bit of chat yesterday in the a couple of chat was in about the Dream Team about Salah didn't deserve his 11 points. I mean, the Matrix for me is the Matrix. You buy Salah, you pay the premium because that's just what he does. He's on takes penalties and he's
one of the best teams in the league.
And this is it. And it's the same with Bruno, the same with Porro, to a lesser degree. Palmer, Haaland, they are just Dream Team monsters, and we've all had it. You had it with Saka earlier this season, right? Haven't you? Which is kind of what set you back. And we both took out Bruno when we shouldn't have. These players, Saka, Palmer, Bruno, Haaland, Salah, Trent, maybe to a lesser degree, Porro, we know who the beasts are. And if you get rid of them, you are opening yourself up to a potential world of pain. Obviously, it doesn't happen all the time or every time, right? But goodness me. And it's hard. And then you want them back. We've all been there. So Bruno, for me, is one of those. He can score a 7 or 8 pointer without doing anything. And when he does something, he can get a bloody 17, 18 pointer. It's just madness. So I'm not really sure. I haven't really thought how to get him in yet. I need to have a think about it. I'll probably leave in Dubravka because I know Pope is close back, but I still think Dubravka will get at least one of the games next week.
Targeting back for the Bournemouth game, I think, on the 16th.
Right, so if that's the case, then Dubravka may even get the FA Cup match as well. I don't know if they'll put in like a third keeper for that game potentially, but he should get the Wolves game, and then I'll take a view from there. But yeah, I think my strategy, as you just mentioned there, I'm not a 1 week punt thing, and that's what's done me really well over the last few weeks is bringing in players who I'm going to want in for 4 weeks, and then when injury does strike, you're not fighting fires here. You're able to make proper forward facing transfers. So
I do think Eze is like a good transfer as well. I definitely wouldn't tell people not to go there as well.
I think he's good for I think he's good for a week. But after that, you're right back into Europe. I think he is good for a week, but you're bringing in Bruno for a month or more.
Yeah,
but again, everyone plays different, and if Eze does play against Stoke and Leicester, he could get a 30 pointer, right? He definitely could.
Like I tipped McAllister for this week, I'll make a tip next week of a player that I'm not going to bring in, but I think is going to do well. Morgan Rogers. It's only 3.5 or 3.6 now. He'll play West Ham. He's had his rest because of the suspension. So I suspect he'll play both games next week against West Ham, who can't defend.
That's a really good shout.
And then they've got Everton as well. He won't get a rise, but if you are looking, if you're budget constraint and you need a midfielder, he's cheap enough to bring in, and he's going to play Europe thereafter as well. So it's not that as a long-term move, if you like, by bringing him in. So I do think he's an option as well.
Oh look, I have 2.3. I think I can go Kulusevski straight to Bruno. Yeah, I can. Good, and then just have a think with the other one. Need to think about it. That's the thing with having 3 up front. Like you can't get rid of Isak, Haaland, or Salah at the moment, so you can only have the 4.
What will be interesting the following week is when Newcastle play singles, and based on Isak's form, like what do people do? Because you don't even need to go to a striker, right? You can go to a midfielder that plays Europe, that plays 2 games as well, and it's like, is there more value in doing that? Maybe not. Newcastle's fixtures are good as well, so it's going to be big decisions for people. I'd lose Gordon before I'd lose Isak, but
I'll be coming off him. I'll just be going all Europe. The thing is, it only takes them to blank in the one game, and then they're useless. I mean, even if they score in the one game and get a 10-pointer, all these other players who you could potentially get have the potential for 15 or 20 points, don't they? So I'll be getting rid of all my non-European players the next 2 weeks.
What are you thinking of captaining?
This week, do you know what? I have not even thought about it, and I'm not trying to be thing at all. I don't think it'll be Palmer. Salah doesn't play against Accrington Stanley, does he?
So I've narrowed it down to 2 players. For me, it's between Haaland and Fernandes.
Fernandes is a good shout. Fernandes, they're home to Southampton the second game, aren't they?
Yeah.
That's a very good shout. Yeah, I think Bruno's a really good shout because he should play against Arsenal in the FA Cup as well, shouldn't he?
I just feel Haaland's going to play against Salford, and we've talked about this before.
If he does, mate. I was just saying, if he does, it'd be incredible.
Yeah.
Because lots of people are taking him out as well, haven't they?
And I do think Eze's a shout as well. By the way, like for anyone that is going there, like I say, I'm not planning.
Do you know what? Now that's a good shout. Is to bring in someone for this week's double who you think will play both like an Eze or potentially an Mbeumo. I'll give you that, and captain him. I think that is an excellent shout because then you're getting the benefit of using 2 transfers to bring someone in and out, aren't you? I think if you just bring him for 1 week, you're using the 2 transfers. Who have Brentford got? Plymouth and Man City.
Plymouth and Man.
Do you think he plays in the FA Cup?
I don't.
Okay. It's a tough one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Bruno must do because they've got the momentum now as
If
well,
you've
haven't
got
they?
if you've already got Embuemo, you don't take him out for
No,
sure.
no, definitely. It's whether you'd buy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Interesting one.
So, the Max captain is the perfect chip for this week, and
Oh, it is just goodness me.
in hindsight should have thought about this more. I know they've talked about it on the Dream Team Tonic podcast for a while, and yeah, probably should have listened to that advice a bit more.
It's gonna be an interesting week. Yeah, just to answer Ian's question, which players, mate, do you think are gonna play? Bruno's a good one, I think. I agree with that one.
For me, I think Embuemo doesn't play, but I could. I could be wrong. They just seem. Maybe it depends on Thiago's fitness, whether like that's another forward slot for Brentford to play. Anyway, Eze, Bruno, because I think that Man United go strong against Arsenal, and they'll have a rest this midweek anyway because they're not in the cup. I think out of the Fulham players, I think, but that forms part of this game week and not next week because I think Castagna probably plays because I don't think they've got a backup right back, whereas they've got a backup left back. So that's why I'm not convinced Robinson necessarily plays. Thinking of the keepers, Henderson, Onana play doubles. You're not, even though I've got Onana and I'm pretty happy with him. I don't know that you bring him in for Arsenal away though in the FA Cup.
It's just so we have no idea, do we? Like I think over the last few seasons, my gut tells me that barely anyone plays a strong 11 in the FA Cup. That's my gut feeling. Is I would be very surprised if there was. I'd be very surprised. I think I would be surprised if Haaland. Would I? They're out of the Carabao. Needs a bit of confidence. Would I be surprised?
Plays a half.
I'd be amazed if Salah played. I can't see Salah playing. I just don't know. Honestly,
So
no idea.
Nunes is suspended for. He's suspended for the next Premier League game. So he picked up his 5th booking. So he definitely plays FA
yeah,
Cup,
you're right.
in my opinion.
Yeah, you're right. You will. Nunes in as a thing against Akron? No, you can't. You can't for one game. Watkins is probably a good option.
Because he'll play two as well.
Well, yeah. Interesting.
Duran's still suspended, I think, for the.
Don't think he is. I think they've. I think it's ongoing.
Is he back for the Prem? Is he back for the Prem?
I think it might be ongoing. I think there's something where he may get an extra ban, but it hasn't been decided either way yet. JC, who is flying, we'll touch on the leaderboard in a minute, but goodness me, he says, "Evening guys, is Haaland going to play Salford? Do we reckon?" I mean, I just have no idea.
Well, yeah,
who else is going to play it from?
I've got the captaincy on it. Just now, I've got the captaincy on him. Whether I stick with that or not, I don't know. But
I think I go for Bruno for the. I think Haaland is the Hail Mary. I think Bruno is the safer option. And JC says, "I think I'll play Max Cap." And then he says, "Would you buy Haaland if you didn't own, though?" That's interesting. Would you buy Haaland if you didn't own? I think I would. I think I would because of the fixtures after. You're not just buying him for the 1 week, are you? You're buying him for the run. He's just getting back in the goals. I know it's kind of easy to say that, but away to Brentford is not a bad fixture. Then Ipswich, and then in the Champions League again.
If you think TFF is going to be swingy this weekend,
you're right. It's going to be mental.
There's no obvious moves to the template. Say you and I've got the template. I don't necessarily believe that's true, but I know that there's 5 players with over 90% ownership in the top 1K, right? Say that we did have the template. Like we're talking about potentially different moves, and I've changed my mind today from what I was thinking yesterday because I was thinking of bringing in Buemo and Eze in, and people will have those players in already, so. You're not going to take those players out if you don't have them.
It's going to be a tense weekend. As you say, swingy. Jeez, it's going to be really interesting. How was your FPL week?
Last week was good. got 87, and then this week I'm on 55 with Wood to play. So level pegging almost. I think I'm 700k now. I've got a small red arrow this week, which I'm not too concerned about. You did. I know you were deliberating. You did play João Pedro over
Lewis.
Lewis. Yeah, I know you were deliberating, and
Well, I
which was
was a bit sneaky because I have got some points to come in because João Pedro was first on my bench for Morgan Rogers. I've done a bit of the old bench wankery, so I have got 9 to come in. So I'm on 68 with Wood to play.
That's a decent week. Yeah, I've not had the best week, but I benched Rogers and Timber, who'll both come back in for me as well. So I've got a lot more flexibility on how I pick my team next week. And I don't feel like I need to make any transfers. I've got like I need to get Buemo back in the 3 game weeks time. And I think Spurs' fixtures look fantastic after that. Albeit I saw Richarlison's back in full training now. I don't know if he'll end up taking some minutes off Solanke, but I was considering getting Solanke in 2 or 3 weeks' time as well. I think we're just going to save transfers for the time being, unless anything major crops up.
I've got 2 saved. I got Ismail Assar. I know they had Chelsea on the weekend. I wasn't expecting much. His next 2 fixtures are pretty good, so I'm hoping that he can do something in the next 2. But really the same. I've got a pretty steady team. I don't really think I thought I was missing Cunha, but a lot have sold him now, and the fixtures have turned anyway. You know when you feel you're just missing that person that everyone's got and whatever. But I don't really feel like I'm missing anyone at the moment. I've been slightly ahead, I think, because a lot of people brought in Wood this week. I already had Wood, so I managed to save. So I've got 2 saved. Haven't really thought what to do next. Just got a templated team: Pickford, Trent, Robinson, Gabriel, Lewis, and Timber, Rogers, Palmer, and Buemo, Salah, and Sarr, Wood, Isak, João Pedro. I did the wildcard team on the Green Arrow last Thursday that the hub is recommending, and I had 10 out of the 11 were in my team already. So it's not an awful lot's going to go for. So, but there will be periods, obviously, where we'll need them. So as you say, stack the transfers, and but really enjoying the season. Had a good Christmas. I'm up to, if I use my live rank including the Pedro points, I'm up to about 550k now, which from where I was like hovering around 1.3 million about a month ago. That's really nice progress. Wood to play as well this evening, so hopeful of something from him and a good team. So it's nice to be having a good season, half decent season by my recent standards anyway, and I'm really enjoying it regardless of rank. To be honest, I was enjoying it when I was like 2.5 million because there was so many different ways to go. I think the only thing at the moment, we mentioned a couple of weeks ago, the fact that Saka's gone out of the game now and Haaland isn't an option, it's just made it very, very templatey now, haven't it? So, but yeah, other than that,
we'll be recording before the next deadline on this as well. So there's probably a limited point in covering how we're lining up for next week.
Of course. Yeah, I won't be around next Monday, so maybe we can sort out something. But yeah, I haven't really given a lot of thought to my FPL team yet for next week, but I'm set up nicely, and that's all good. Viney says Foden could play up front against Salford. That'd be nice for you in TFF, mate, wouldn't it? Jeez. We tempted to bring him in if he did.
And DreamTeam because yeah. I don't think a lot of people will go there.
I'd be tempted. Do you know if he started up front against Salford? I'd be tempted to bring him in because the next 3 or 4 fixtures, he'll have Salford, then Brentford and Ipswich. I know after that they're really tough, but he could be a very quick daisy chain.
Yeah.
I can look at the fixtures. Let's have a look at the fixtures actually, just quickly on that. TFF fixture grid. How does that work out? Man City, if he plays against Salford, Brentford, and Ipswich, look, does that give like a brief? They play 4:30 on Sunday against Ipswich, which was a bit of a shitter. But
he's not in the top. He's not in the top 20 for ownership in the top 1,000.
In what? Dream Team?
Yeah.
Really? Wow, I'm really surprised at that. He gets actually Foden, including the Chelsea game then on Saturday the 25th. He gets a 4-for-2 over quite a few teams, and then as I say, you can have a nice daisy chain off in then onto a team playing on the Sunday, which could be Spurs home to Leicester. That's nice. That'd be a nice 4-for-2, including Salford, and then jump on Spurs, who start they start their easy run then. Leicester, Brentford, United, Ipswich. Well, from an attacking view anyway. So yeah, interesting. Interesting thinking. How's kind of know how the leaderboard's looking. I don't. Just got to say.
As I say, like I know that you're not too despondent about it because you know as well as I do that, as I say, like when you start like pulling in the TFF points, I think you'll just shoot up that leaderboard when you start using the transfers again. So you're 22nd, and then running down the top 10. Carl Bennett's in 10th, Dan Sherwood's in 9th, Ben Lee's in 8th. I've somehow found myself in 7th without being better than 8th overall rank in any of the leagues. But I think it's because I'll talk about it in a second. Tom Gledall's in 6th, James Ingram 5th, Sam Troy 4th, Gavin Shirley 3rd, Aled Wilcock 2nd, and Johnny Curry out in 1st. 1st in Dream Team, 1st in Telegraph, and 4th in FPL on it.
This year's James so far absolutely running away with it. But look at James up to 5th. It was only seen like a month ago. James was like 43rd or something.
Yeah,
he's gone up to 3rd in Telegraph. Don't know what he's done. Goodness me.
So because Johnny's ranks are so good in all the games, like he's almost dragging the mini league average up to the point where I can sit with a mini league average of 14.7 and still be in 7th. Yeah. So it's working for me. But in that position that I'm in, it's easier to drop than it is to rise. So I'm not getting ahead of myself at all. You had mentioned that in total by points that you'd be 6th overall. I'm 8th. I'd be 8th overall. So it's not an unfair comparison. But then if you look at Johnny out on top, like he's over 100 points clear, and he's still got one of his boosters left.
He's on about playing it this weekend, Max Cap.
Max Captain, and he's only played the wild card in FPL, which I know you and I have only played that as well, but there is others that have played the triple captain on Haaland earlier on the season and bench boost right at the start of the season as well. So
what a season, JC's in the chat. What a season, buddy! Absolutely ridiculous. Very, 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 very well played indeed. Yeah, good stuff. It's going to be a swingy week, interesting week. I think in Telegraph definitely time to open my purse, but very difficult to say to what because it's all down to lineups. JC says, "What could possibly go wrong?" Brilliant. Yeah, it's all down to lineups. You're just gonna have get on Ian Parrin's Telegraph planner or get on FF stuff on the TFF planner, and just make a list of what ifs. What if Foden starts? What if Isak starts? What if Lewis? These players we have or haven't got. What if this guy's not playing? What if? And just try and identify that. Like that Foden move, for example, 4-for-2. I know 4-for-2s in isolation are not brilliant, but it's onto a Salford player. It gets Salford, gets a 4-for-2, and then straight onto a Spurs player, for example. And this is the way you need to think about it now, is that you're not just bringing in someone for a 4-for-2. It's that whole daisy chain thing as well. This is going to be really interesting few weeks, and there's still lots of teams who've got really good fixtures. Sorry, mate, I think I interrupted you then, did I?
No, all good. Or if I was going to say something, it wasn't important anyway.
Okay. But yeah, really well played, everyone. And we'll be back at some point next week. I'm definitely not available next Monday, I don't think. So, and I'm doing Green Arrow on Sunday because obviously the FPL deadline is not till Tuesday. But we'll hopefully work out something so we can get something out. Nothing will have changed in FPL, obviously. But apart from the fact that like most of the top teams are playing twice now before before FPL, aren't they? They're both playing Carabao this week, and then they're playing the FA Cup on the weekend. So it's going to be a very, very interesting week. And what that also does, it also kind of starts to lay out the foundations for how the next few weeks and months are going to lay themselves out in terms of fixtures and blanks and doubles and goodness knows what as well. So we are in for an incredibly interesting month. Awesome. Okay, mate. Thank you all so much for joining us. And yeah, we will try and get one out next week if we can. But best of luck to everyone for this week and for the weekend. And yeah, we will speak to you all soon. Cheers all.